pray for us before we start the lesson. Yes? Anyone who is willing to pray for us before we start? No one is willing to pray for us? Okay. Okay. Let us humble ourselves for a word of prayer. Loving Heavenly Father, we come to you this hour asking for your blessing and help us as we are gathered together. We pray for guidance in the matters at hand, and ask that you would clearly show us how to conduct our work with a spirit of joy and enthusiasm. In the name of Jesus Christ, I am prayed. Okay. Yes, with that opening prayer, we are going to begin our lesson. And let me share the screen such that we are in position to clearly see what we are going to be going through. Yes, here we are. Here we are. So, of course, we are looking at the program is sponsored by Edify Uganda, and we've been telling you that Edify believes that we all deserve to learn and flourish. Edify is not alone. Edify is working together with Christian School Owners Association, then ICT, Teachers Association of Uganda, then the government of Uganda is of course part of this program. Yes, here we are. Today we are having a history with teacher Busuulwa Joseph, and today we are looking at the Congress system, that is 1815 to 1830. Okay, the Congress system 1815 to 1830. The other time we looked at the Vienna Congress, and I remember telling you the two are slightly different, but they are interconnected. Okay, they are interconnected. When you look at the Congress system or the concert of Europe, okay, this was designed to fulfill the aims and objectives of the Vienna Congress. So the two are inseparable, right? So we looked at the Vienna Congress, and today we are going to look at the Congress system or the concert of Europe. Here we are going to be talking about a series of meetings that were held on the European continent to discuss, to handle the issues at hand during them. Yeah, to handle the issues that were facing Europe at the time. All right. Okay, here we are. Of course, I've told you we are looking at the Congress system or the concert of Europe, and we are going to begin with the Congress at Aix-la-Chapelle, okay, and that was in 1818. That is why here you are seeing 1818 to 1830. But when we talk about 1815 or 1814, then that means we have also included the Vienna Congress. So here we are starting with the Congress at Aix-la-Chapelle of 1818, okay, up to around 1827 there, though here we are putting 1830, but the last one was 1827, and it was in London. Okay, so we are looking at, here we are saying that the Congress system is also known as the concert of Europe. And this was after the Congress of Vienna. So the main aim of the Congress system was to make sure that there is balance of power on the European continent, okay? Balance of power from the time, okay, let me first see this person. Okay, Joy, you can unmute yourself and ask. Joy, unmute yourself. Joy, I'm seeing your hand up. Please unmute yourself.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm good. So which subject is this?
Oh, we are looking at history, paper 3.
Okay.
Yes, please. Okay.
I think I'm just lost.
Okay. Okay, Catherine, unmute yourself.
Teacher,
Yes.
this is not end.
No, this is history, paper 3.
What about senior 3 class? It's at the same time.
Senior 3 class?
Mhm.
Maybe, yes, you joined the senior 3 class, but you've joined senior 5.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Yes, I've been telling you that. Okay, I was actually telling you that these people met the different congresses they had. They had an objective of at least balancing power on the European continent, which power had been destabilized, which imbalance had been brought by Napoleon and the Revolutionary Wars. Okay, and I think that information is now clear. Then we have this one here, that it was formulated in 1815 as a mechanism to enforce the decisions of the Congress of Vienna, which Prussia and Great Britain agreed to meet from time to time to solve European problems amicably through peaceful negotiations as they arose. So here we are saying, in 1815, after the Congress of Vienna, the powers agreed that we are to meet from time to time. And if we are to solve the European problems, we have to meet. We don't have to confront each other using force and all that. That is why they agreed that they had to meet regularly and then find out solutions to the problems in Europe at the time. Okay. Okay. Now here we are saying, we are now having a definition of the Congress system. And we are saying the Congress system refers to a series of international meetings that took place in Europe after the Vienna Congress. A series of international meetings that took place in Europe after the Vienna Congress. Okay? We are saying the Congress system aimed at having round-table conferences in conflict resolution as a way to avoid destructive and expensive wars in solving international problems. So they were like, we should avoid wars because wars are expensive. Are you getting it? If we are to settle our problems, then we should settle them peacefully. So that was the major objective. If they were to settle their problems, then these problems were to be settled peacefully. Okay, so it involved the Congress of Aix-la-Chapelle 1818, Troppau 1820, Laibach 1821, Verona 1822, St. Petersburg 1825. Okay, so they started. They started with the Congress of Aix-la-Chapelle, and Aix-la-Chapelle is found in Germany. Okay, this place is found in Germany. That is where they had their first meeting. Then they had another meeting, and that was in Troppau 1820. Okay, Troppau 1820, and this is found in Czech Republic or Czechoslovakia at the time. Okay, so they also had another congress, and this was Laibach. We've talked about we've talked about Troppau, yes, and now there is Laibach 1821, and Laibach is found in Slovenia. Okay, Slovenia, that is where they had another meeting. Then they also had another one in Verona, or the Verona meeting of 1822, and Verona is of course found in Italy. Then they also had the St. Petersburg meeting of 1825, and St. Petersburg is in Russia. So lastly, they had in 1827 that I've not, so I believe I've tried to break down the different congresses these people had, okay? The different congresses these people had on the European continent. So, is there any question before we proceed? Any question before we proceed? Okay, so I believe you've got everything that I've so far talked about, and this is what I will also tell you. Sometimes examiners set a question about the Congress system, all about the Vienna Congress, all about the Vienna settlement, and then you people get confused as you are introducing. If the question is asking about the Vienna settlement, and then you introduce it as these were a series of meetings, oh my dear, you are already off. The question is asking about the Vienna Congress, and someone introduces it as these were a series of meetings. Again, you are off. The question is asking for the Congress system, and then you introduce the Congress system as a meeting that was held in Vienna. You are off. So there is a difference between the Vienna Congress, the Congress system, and the Vienna settlement. So you must actually be knowing the difference between the three. Okay. So from there, okay. From there, we are looking at something else. And now we are looking at the Congress of Aix-la-Chapelle, 1818. Okay, the Congress of Aix-la-Chapelle, 1818. And this was the first meeting, okay, the European powers had. From the Vienna Congress of 1814, now this was the first meeting under what we call the Concert of Europe. And I've already told you they met in Germany, okay? Aix-la-Chapelle is found in Germany. And this is what they had to talk about. By the way, before again we proceed, here we are looking at the different congresses and what they came out, or what came out, okay? What they came out with, the Congress, what they came out with. We are looking at the resolutions, and we are also looking at the reasons as why they met. But we are looking at this under the respective congresses. But again, one would ask me, how do they ask a question about the Congress system or the Concert of Europe? You may not necessarily find a question asking you about the Concert of Europe, but you will find a question asking you about the Congress system, and you will need information from the Concert of Europe to clearly answer that question. For example, a question of how the Congress system collapsed, okay? You might meet a question asking for to what extent were the differences among the great powers of that time contributed to the downfall of the Congress system? To what extent did the differences contribute, okay, to the disintegration or downfall of the Congress system? Now you have to find the differences here. The differences will be found in the Concert of Europe. For example, we are going to find a lot of disagreements in this Aix-la-Chapelle Congress. Now, if you did not read the Aix-la-Chapelle Congress and you did not understand it very well, then you would find problems in answering a question asking you for the downfall of the Congress system. A question asking you of how the disagreements contributed to the downfall of the Congress system. I'm trying to dig a background of what we are looking at, because one would wonder, why are we looking at these congresses? How will the examiner set exams or questions here? So majorly we look at the differences here and see how the differences contributed to the disintegration of the Congress system. So here we are saying that it was the first international meeting of the European great powers, following the idea of meeting from time to time to peacefully solve European problems, which was adopted at Vienna Congress by the Quadruple Alliance of Austria, Russia, Prussia, and Great Britain quadruple alliance. We are looking at an alliance of 4 countries, quadruple. That is Austria, Russia, and Great Britain. Talking about France was admitted later. Okay, France came in later to form what we call the quintuple alliance. Okay. So we are saying the meeting was attended by Tsar Alexander of Russia. Now, the other time someone was asking me about the word Tsar, how do we write it? And I remember giving different ways of writing the word Tsar. You can write the word Tsar with a TSAR, with a TZAR, with a CZAR, or a CSAR. Okay, so you shouldn't get confused here. It is ZA with a CZAR, CSAR, TZAR, TSAR. Okay, one of those ones. So we are saying that the meeting was attended by Tsar Alexander I of Russia, Lord Castlereagh of Great Britain, Metternich of Austria, Frederick William III of Prussia, and Louis Richelieu, okay, as the French representative. Later, Richelieu, the French representative. And that is why you see representative. He only represented the French, but he could not actually talk. The deliberations were of those of the first 4 powers we looked at. Then the aim of this Congress was to discuss the admission of France into the alliance of the 4 great powers, formation of international army, stopping slave trade, fighting pirates on the Mediterranean Sea, treatment of Napoleon in St. Helena, and the Orthodox Christians in the Ottoman Empire. So we've seen the different reasons why these people met, okay? First of all, to see whether France was to be admitted. Secondly, we've talked about forming international army, then stopping slave trade, fighting pirates in the Mediterranean Sea. Now, when you look at these points, for example, forming up an international army, it was talked about in the Congress of Vienna, but they did not actually come up with an international army. Then fighting sea pirates, they talked about it, but it was not effective. And all these ones came back now, okay? But again, the question is, did they agree on what they were planning to do? To an extent, they did not. That is why I told you we have a lot of disagreements here. Now we are saying in this meeting, France came in to request the powers to remove the occupational armies from her soil. To remove the occupational armies from her soil. And when did they attack the occupational armies there? Of course, after the defeat of Napoleon, okay? Now, having been satisfied with the stability of France, the Congress members agreed to admit her into the alliance of the other powers and removed the occupational troops from the French soil. Thus, France was accepted as the 50th member, and a new quintuple alliance was formed, while in secret, the quadruple alliance was maintained. Now, the quadruple alliance, the alliance of the 4 powers, was against the French. That one was maintained in secret. But now France was admitted and made part of the 4 members, and then they formed a new alliance, the quintuple alliance. But there was a secret alliance of the other 4 members against France. They were suspicious against France. That is why we are saying, in secret, the quadruple alliance was maintained. Okay? So before we proceed, you can tell me, is everything clear? Any question? So I think everything is clear. You are following the story very well. Okay? All right. If you are following the story very well, then we proceed. At the Congress of Aix-la-Chapelle, Frederick William of Prussia proposed an international command of Wellington, commander, and a permanent revolution that might arise at any time in Europe. But however, it was opposed, okay? However, it was opposed and rejected by Britain. Now, I've seen the disagreements now. Remember, I told you we have a lot of disagreements. Now, here we are saying, yes, they proposed. They proposed that they should have an international army. But Britain said, an international army, no. Britain rejected that proposal. Now, that is a disagreement. That is a disagreement. So we are saying that rejected by Britain, who never wanted to get involved in the affairs that it did not concern her. You see? And that is majorly what we call the British isolation policy. The British isolation policy. You might even meet a question of that nature. To what extent did the British isolation policy contribute to the downfall of the Congress system, to the disintegration of the Congress system? So you've started seeing the British isolation policy. Here, Britain is saying, for us, we are not fair, not concerned, nothing. Okay? Because this is majorly what we look for under the different congresses. Now, the question of the Barbary pirates was also tabled. And Tsar Alexander I of Russian fleet to be formed and given powers to move to the Mediterranean Sea to stamp out pirates who had become a problem to the commercial vessels of Europe. The proposal was again opposed by Britain. Are you seeing? The proposal was again opposed by Britain and France, who accused Russia of using this as a masking to spread Russian imperialism in Europe. Are you seeing? Again, Britain is opposing the proposal. That is a disagreement. That is a misunderstanding. And we can also refer to it as the British isolation policy. Britain also rejected because she never wanted the commercial vessels of other European countries to enter the waters where she had commercial interests. You see, Britain opposed that because Britain never wanted to see the vessels of other countries entering the waters where she had commercial interests. So we are saying the problem of Barbary pirates was not solved then. It is a disagreement. So I believe you people are noting, just in case you meet a question asking from the disagreements and how they contributed to the disintegration or downfall of the Congress system, you'll be ready to give. Now, on the question of slave trade, Britain proposed that a navy force should be established to search the merchant ships carrying slaves. The navy force was to enter the waters and check any vessel carrying slaves. And if found, be pounded and slaves sent back to their homes. Now, other powers were opposed to her naval superiority, and so the idea was firmly rejected. Now, again, powers are disagreeing. The British are saying we should stop slave trade. No. We are not going to stop slave trade because Britain has got that naval power. Britain wants to dominate this. Britain has already benefited from the slaves and all of that information. Again, that is a disagreement. Okay. Edrina, this is history paper 3. Okay. So we are saying that is again another disagreement. Okay. Another disagreement, and I am sure you people are noting. There is this information here. At acceleration, the Congress members discussed on how to by the Allied powers. He should be offered a fair treatment like any other former European leader. It is against this background that Napoleon was fairly treated until 1821 when he died a natural death. When he died a natural death. That is treating Napoleon Bonaparte. On the issue of the Orthodox Christians in Turkey, The Austria Congress members advised the Sultan to offer fair and equal treatment to both Muslims and Christians, which he accepted and later never implemented as he continued to mistreat the Orthodox Christians in the Ottoman Empire. Now, briefly, people here would be thinking now, what is the Ottoman Empire? Again, what has the master brought in? The Ottoman Empire lay on 3 continents, that is Asia, Europe, and Africa, and it was in the east of Europe. It was under the leadership of the Sultan of Turkey, okay? Under the leadership of the Sultan of Turkey, and this had different vassal states. So many states were under the Ottoman Empire. And the Ottoman Empire was led by, of course, Muslims, and the Muslims mistreated the Christians in there. So now, powers met and agreed, and he talked to the Sultan of Turkey that please, you should not mistreat the Christians in the Ottoman Empire. The Sultan of Turkey agreed that yes, it is okay. Okay, it is okay. I will not mistreat the Christians in the Ottoman Empire. But we are saying that was just a verbal. It was not implemented. It was not implemented, and later on it led to the outbreak of the Greek War of Independence in 1821. And the powers came up and supported the Greeks against the Sultan of Turkey. Okay, briefly, that is it about the Ottoman Empire. But if you've got a question, you are free to ask. Okay, you are free to ask. Though we okay. So we are saying that the powers also discussed the Swedish-Denmark question, where Denmark had refused to clear the Dead Sea she owed Sweden. The Danish government accepted it and started clearing the debts, different things under the Aix-la-Chapelle, okay? In summary, the Aix-la-Chapelle Congress broke up after the powers had agreed to meet again whenever necessary, although strong differences of opinion had been expressed during the deliberations, okay? Yes, we are saying the Aix-la-Chapelle Congress had a lot of differences, okay? Had a lot of differences, but of course members agreed that we should keep on meeting. And that is the reason why they again met, okay? In 1820, in this Congress of Troppau of 1820. I've already told you that Troppau is found in Czechoslovakia or Czech Republic, okay? Czechoslovakia or Czech Republic. And of course, they also had to talk about a lot. By the way, a lot was happening on the European continent at the time. A lot. And they had to now settle the problems that were facing Europe at that time. This was the second Congress of the European Great Powers, which was attended physically by Metternich of Austria, Tsar Alexander I of Russia, and Frederick William of Russia. Now, there is something you should note. We are saying it was attended by Metternich, Tsar Alexander of Russia, and then Frederick William III of Russia. Where is Britain? Where is France? These ones did not attend. These two countries did not attend. And they disagreed with what came out from the Troppau meeting, or what we call the Troppau Protocol. In fact, I think the leader of Britain at the time referred to the Troppau Protocol as a loud sounding nothing. A loud sounding nothing, meaning that they did not agree with what came out of the Troppau Congress. So, a moment. Yeah, we are saying here at the end that France sent observers, okay? Just observers. They were not to say anything, but to observe, to look and see what these powers were doing. That's why I'm telling you that these powers did not actually agree on what came out. So we are saying the years that followed the Aix-la-Chapelle Congress were difficult for the reactionary Europe, and the Congress had to be convened at Troppau in Austria. Troppau in Austria in 1820. Wait. Okay. Yeah, I will. A number of reasons led to the summoning of this conference. Now, Czech Republic or Czechoslovakia at the time was under the Austrian Empire. At the time was under the Austrian Empire. That is why I've already told you that Tropau is found in Czechoslovakia. And again, here I've talked about a meeting at Tropau in Austria, in the Austrian Empire. That one we should understand. Okay? That one we should understand. We shouldn't get confused. All right. We are saying there were revolutions in Spain. And by the way, a lot of differences, a lot of problems were on the European continent. Okay? And this is the point I had not actually talked about. A number of reasons led to the summoning of the conference. And these are the reasons now. These are the reasons. There were revolutions in Spain, and Ferdinand VII was forced to grant a constitution in 1812. There were university students' demonstration in Germany, who later murdered a Russian dramatist journalist and a spy, Kotizibiu, who had been employed by Austria to act as a spy in the German states. All these were problems on the European continent, meaning that powers met to make sure that they solve these problems. Okay? They met to make sure that these problems can be solved. There was also Polish tension in Russia and revolts in the Portuguese and Spanish colonies in South America, okay, which declared their independence. All these were problems. Then there were disturbances in the Italian kingdom, in France, and a prince, and okay, in France, a prince and potential king, Duke de Berry, was also assassinated as he left the Paris Opera as he left the Paris Opera. And we are saying in the face of such odds, it was necessary to call a congress at Tropau in 1820. So these were the problems on the European continent. So many of them, and they had to solve them. We are saying disturbances in the Italian kingdom. Yes. At the time, Italian states were under Austria, and they were protesting against Austria's domination. In German states, or German states were also protesting against the Austrian domination. In France, Duke de Berry was killed. Duke de Berry was son to Charles X, and Duke de Berry was actually one of the people in line to take over power in France. So it is believed that Duke de Berry was killed by a man known as Louvet. Okay, so all these were issues to tackle, and that is the reason why they had to meet and talk about such problems. Okay, and we are saying therefore the Congress was called to put measures on the revolutions that had made the European continent, as was evidenced in Portugal, France, Russia, Italy, Germany, and England, among others, as well as discussing the Carlsbad decrees that had been issued by Metternich in Germany. Now again, the Carlsbad decrees. These were decrees issued by Metternich in Germany. In Germany, there was a riot. They were celebrating the defeat of Napoleon, okay? Because at one time, Napoleon was defeated in 1813 in Germany at the Battle of Leipzig. So because Napoleon had dominated them, that became something to be celebrated every year. So in 1919 in Germany, they were celebrating the defeat of Napoleon. They were also celebrating good harvests, but this turned into a political arena. They started banning the portraits of Metternich and everything there. They started, fighting against the princesses from Austria. Of course, Metternich, using his spy network, heard about this. And Metternich intervened, suppressed the Carlsbad decrees, suppressed the riots, and issued the Carlsbad decrees. So members met to discuss the Carlsbad decrees. Should they, were the Carlsbad decrees to stay, or they had to do something about the Carlsbad decrees? And we are saying these were orders, okay? These were orders that were issued by Metternich in Germany, okay? So the powers condemned the revolutions, proposed a joint force to suppress the revolutions, and all of that, okay? Then the Tropau Protocol was signed later. The outcomes, the resolutions were signed later, okay? And they were signed by Russia, and Austria. I am now emphasizing what I said at the beginning. The protocol was signed by Russia, and Austria, meaning that France and Britain did not sign. So by this protocol, the three great powers were bound by arms, if necessary, to restore the guilty state into the bosom of the Great Alliance. Now, they agreed that if any power deviated from the protocol, then they were to use the power of the gun to bring back this power into the alliance, to bring back the power, okay, under the influence of the protocol, the Tropau protocol. So we have a lot about this. The Tropau protocol came out with a lot. And here we are saying the revolution. Okay, the revolutions in Italy were crushed by Austria. Italy, I've already told you, was placed under Austria. And in 1818, the Italians came up with an organization known as the Carbonari. The Carbonari was a movement of Jacobins. And this movement started fighting against the Austrians. Okay? Now, this movement, of course, was suppressed by the Austrians. Then revolts had taken place in Naples and Sicily. Then these revolts were also suppressed, and so many others. In Spain, a revolution of 1822 was also suppressed by the French. It was all agreed by the members that met in that meeting. Then the Carlsbad decrees, of course, it was agreed that the Carlsbad decrees should go on. Okay, yeah, it was agreed that the Carlsbad decrees should go on, and I've already told you they were declared by Metternich. Now, from there, we've gone to the Congress of Laibach 1821. Okay, we have seen Aix-la-Chapelle, we have seen Tropau, and we are now looking at the March of 1821. Okay, so before we continue, have you got the first two meetings we've talked about clearly? Do you have any question before we look at this one of Laibach? Okay, so I believe you don't have any question about the first two congresses we've looked at. But of course, I've already told you, when looking at these congresses, so much focus on the differences. So much focus on the differences, because in most cases, a question that is brought about these congresses is actually a question asking you of how the congresses contributed to the downfall of the congress system, of how the misunderstandings of the members during the different congresses contributed to the downfall of the congress system. Okay, so Laibach 1821, and here we are. We are saying this was the third meeting, which was to continue from where the Tropau protocol had stopped, meaning that this was a continuation of the Tropau protocol. Okay, a continuation of the Tropau protocol, and we are saying this was physically attended by Russia under Alexander I, Austria under von Metternich, Wenzel von Metternich, and then Prussia under Frederick William III. Again, you are seeing the members that met at Tropau are the very members that are coming back here. Russia, Austria, and Metternich. Are you seeing that? Alexander I was, of course, under the armpits of Metternich. There was even a time when Alexander regretted before Metternich that I regret for the time lost, for you had seen, for you had judged the condition of things. Tell me what you want and what you want of me, and then I will do it. That was Alexander regretting before Metternich, meaning that wherever Metternich went, Alexander could also follow. You see? So we are saying that the powers met to acknowledge the Austrian suppression of revolutions. Yes. Okay. And so many other things were also done. Then safeguarding the established Vienna governments in the different states. Remember, we said Italian states were put under Austria. German states were put under Austria. Austria was an empire at the time. Czechoslovakia, so many other countries were under Austria. And Austria had princes and princesses there. So they would make sure that the leaders there are actually safeguarded. Then in Spain, it was agreed that they should have a joint suppression of the revolt. But again, Britain did not agree on this, that they should interfere and suppress revolts everywhere. Britain was like, no, if a revolt is liberal, then we don't have any reason as why we should go there and suppress these revolutions. But we are saying here that, however, the question of interference to suppress liberal revolutions was separating the Allied powers seriously, but the separation was halted by the Greek War of Independence of 1821. And then the revolutions in Spanish colonies in Latin America, okay? Meaning that Spain had colonies in Latin America, and these colonies had revolted against Spain, okay? So this is what at least had to keep the members together. But of course, the interventions had were just about to separate the countries. Now we are looking at the Verona Congress of 1822, okay? And we are saying this was the fourth meeting of the great powers, which took place at Verona in northern Italy, and that was October 1822. Okay. Among others, it was attended by Metternich of Austria, Tsar Alexander I of Russia, Frederick William the third of Russia, sorry, of Prussia, and then Virere. Metternich of Austria, Tsar Alexander I of Russia, Frederick William the third of Prussia. Now, okay. Then Virere, the French representative. Then later on, Wellington, again another British representative, who represented Lord Castlereagh, who was Lord Canning, because Lord Castlereagh had died and was replaced by Lord Canning. Okay. Now the purpose of the Congress was to discuss the revolutions that had broken out on the European continent. Okay. In this Congress, the powers under the influence of France proposed that a joint force be dispatched to Spain to suppress the revolt, overthrow the constitution which the king had, So a lot of things were talked about in this Congress, okay? Again, there is these words that I put in bold. Britain ever pledged to join the hands. Okay, now there is something I should tell you. Now there were some disagreements. Like they were saying we should intervene in Mexico. Remember, we talked about the Spanish colonies in Latin America that had revolted. So they were like, we should go there and force these countries back under the leadership of Spain. But again, Britain was like, no. The moment we do that, that will be a direct confrontation of the Americans. And then Britain said, Britain, we are saying here that Britain ever pledged to join hands with America and fight any power that intervenes in Mexico. So we are saying there was a disagreement again. Other European powers were saying we should intervene in Mexico and restore Mexico back we should have the Spanish lead the Mexicans again. But again, Britain was like, that will be directly confronting the Americans. Are you seeing? And then Britain pledged to join hands with America in the fight against any power that intervened in Mexico. So we are saying due to this, the Mexican revolt was not suppressed, and it led to the independence of Mexico. Now, on the Greek War of Independence, there was a sharp disagreement between Austria and Russia. Russia wanted to support the Greeks to get their independence, but Austria was like, we shouldn't help them. Why? Austria was an empire. Austria never wanted to see the Ottoman Empire disintegrating because it would act as a precedent. States under Austria would be like, the other ones are getting their independence, we also need ours. Are you seeing? That is the reason why Austria never wanted to see the Ottoman Empire disintegrating. But again, Russia was in favor of supporting the Greeks to get their independence. But that would mean disintegrating the Ottoman Empire. Okay? So we are saying the powers were divided into two. Russia, Britain, and France on one side, and then Austria and Prussia on the other side. Russia, Britain, and France were supporting the Greeks to get their independence. From the Ottoman Empire, from the Turkish Empire, okay? We've already talked about this empire. And I've told you the empire lay on 3 continents. That is Asia, Europe, and Africa. It had so many states under this, And the capital city of this empire was Constantinople, which is present-day Istanbul. Okay, so we are saying that the Greeks were under this empire. They wanted their independence. France, Russia, and Britain supported that. But again, Austria and Prussia were against him this independence. Now from there, we move on to the Congress of St. Petersburg of 1825, and this was in Russia. And we are saying it was another conference of great powers in Europe at St. Petersburg in Russia. But however, this Congress was held at a time when the Congress system had broken down. That one I should emphasize. This Congress was, organized at a time when the Congress system had broken down. And meaning that nothing much was achieved there. It was attended by Austria, Russia, and it was attended by Austria, Prussia, and Russia, as usual. Austria, Russia, and Prussia. France and Britain are nowhere to be seen. Okay. Now, in St. Petersburg, they were of course unsuccessful. Then we are saying that the St. Petersburg Congress broke in bad terms, and this marked the end of the Congress system. Although some members continued meeting on a ad hoc basis. Some members continued meeting on ad hoc basis, meaning that they were meeting without structure, like they could meet for the sake of meeting, and then whatever they discussed was not actually binding. You understand? That is what we are looking at, or that is what it means on that side. So the last one is the London Congress of 1827. And the London Congress of 1827 summarized the Congress system. What was there? Majorly, they were looking at the Greek War of Independence. Okay, so we are saying this was an international meeting that was attended by Britain, France, and Russia. This time you are seeing Britain, France, and Russia. You are not seeing Prussia anywhere. You are not seeing Austria anywhere. Are you seeing? Austria was against what the members were actually talking about here. We are saying which led to the promulgation of the Treaty of London on 6th July 1827 by the great powers. They declared this. They declared the Treaty of London. The meeting led to the declaration of the Treaty of London in 1827. Declaration of what came out of the meeting in 1827. The three main European powers had called up on Greece and Ottoman Empire to cease hostilities. Okay, this comment is not there. Ottoman Empire to cease hostilities. Now, this means there was hostility between Greece as a country and the Ottoman Empire. Greece wanted her independence, but the Ottoman Empire was like, we are not giving you your independence. Are you getting it? And now the powers intervened in this. Britain, France, and Russia came in to support the Greeks against the Ottoman Empire. Okay, and indeed by 1832, Greece got her independence with the help of the great powers. So the major aim of the meeting was to sign the treaty that would oppose the Ottoman Empire to create an independent Greek state. Members agreed that while the Ottoman Empire should recognize the independence of Greece, the Sultan would be the supreme ruler of the Ottoman Empire. Yeah, members actually agreed that however much we are looking at the independence of Greece, but the Sultan has got to remain the overall leader of the Ottoman Empire. Okay, the overall leader of the Ottoman Empire. However, the Ottoman Empire, basing upon its superior naval force, declined to accept the idea. This directly caused the great powers to send the troops that destroyed the combined Turkish and Egyptian fleet at the Battle of Navarino Bay. Now, it means that the Ottoman Empire fought against the other powers with the help of Egypt. Yes, Egypt was called upon to help the Ottoman Empire against the Greeks. Okay, and Egypt was promised Crete, Morea, and which other state? Syria, Crete, and Morea. But at the end of the day, the Sultan of Turkey did not grant these to the Egyptians, and this contributed to what we call the Syrian question, where the Egyptians attacked Turkey or the Ottoman Empire simply because they wanted their reward, Syria. Okay, yes, they were promised Syria, Crete, and Morea in return for the assistance they had given in the Sultan of Turkey against Greece. Okay, so the great powers defeated the Turkish troops together with the Egyptian fleet at Navarino Bay, and then later on, Greece was created. Greece was given independence later in 1832. So this brings us to the end of this lesson, okay? And we've been looking at the different congresses, okay? We've been looking at the different congresses, and I've already told you, you have to, I've already told you, go and look at the sharp differences in there. Look at the differences in there. They will so much help you in answering any question about the downfall and disintegration of the Congress system. They will also help you in answering a question that will be asking from the British isolation policy, because we normally bring that question. The extent to which the British isolation policy contributed to the downfall of the Congress system. But again, I am not saying we will not give you other reasons for the downfall of the Congress system, the disintegration of the Congress system. These reasons are there and we will give them, okay? Yes, however much we are saying that maybe Zoom, that the live Zoom lessons are ending this week, we are going to keep on having more work more work that will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. Okay, more work is going to be uploaded on our YouTube channel. Personally, I am going to be making more videos to be put there, and then videos of even history paper 1. If some of you have visited our Colibri library, I've already put there some information about the Egyptian Revolution of 1952. So meaning that I'll also be having work put there about history paper 1. Okay, so you are advised to keep on visiting our YouTube channel. You subscribe to the channel and then get informed. Okay, so our lesson for today is actually ending here. Unless there is anyone with a question, please, you can put up your hand, ask or supplement or anything. Anyone who has something, a burning issue before we go? Okay. So I believe everything that we've talked about is clear. People have actually understood everything. Okay, Jean has actually given me a clap. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So yes, for today we are ending here. We'll be picking up from here. Okay, let me see. Okay, Stuart, you are welcome. Stuart, you are welcome. All right, so for today, let us try to end here. We will be picking up from here next time. And you can, okay, Samuel, you are welcome. You are welcome. All right. We will be picking up from here next time.